I'm doing pop culture, entertainment, things like that, when I can covering Marilyn Manson, when something big enough comes up, and this here is an article from Loudwire that says prosecutors say more evidence needed before abuse charges can be brought against Marilyn Manson from September 21st, 2022. Now, people like Colonel Kurtz and a few others and myself have been saying it looks like Marilyn Manson is innocent, and the big reason for that is there was no evidence. Nothing tangible, nothing real. People took what he said from novels and songs and things like that and pointed the finger. It was not actual evidence. It wasn't evidence like Johnny Depp had against Amber. That was real evidence. So it makes sense that these prosecutors here are saying there's not enough evidence. Now, a lot of people said, but so many women accuse Marilyn Manson. Well, here's the deal with that. The more people that accuse someone, the higher probability there is for having evidence. That's a fact. That's how it goes. If 100 women accuse a man of actual abuse with no evidence, well, that's kind of suspicious. Out of that many people, nobody had evidence? So I think in this case, it was up to about 16 or 17 people accused Marilyn Manson of something, but none of them had any evidence. So the higher the number goes, the more puzzling it is that there ain't any evidence. Anyway, let's see what they got. Earlier this week, the LA County Sheriff's Department sent LA District Attorney George Gaskin their case on the sexual abuse investigation of Marilyn Manson. On Tuesday, September 20th, the prosecutors deemed that more evidence is needed before they can consider criminal charges. Well, who said something like that? I've said it at least a dozen times on this channel. Whatever happened, we may never know. So if there's no evidence, unfortunately or fortunately, we gotta move on. The investigation on Manson, whose real name is Brian Warner, was conducted by the LA County Sheriff's Department Special Victims Bureau over a span of 19 months. That's a long time to find no evidence. NBC Los Angeles reports that the DA's office said the case they received contained partial case material. There is more material that is still outstanding. However, we do not have a timeline for the additional submission from the LASD, the office wrote in a statement. Once we receive everything, experienced prosecutors will carefully and deliberatively review everything that has been submitted prior to making a filing decision. This review will take some time, but rest assured our office takes these allegations very seriously. Then they go on to name some of the women who accused Manson of these things. They mention, of course, Evan Rachel Wood, Esme Bianco, Bianca Elaine, Ashley Moore Smithline, who I think had her case dropped. It just didn't quite make it. I could be wrong, don't quote me, but she had some issues with her lawyer, that's for sure. Ashley Waters, and an unnamed former girlfriend. And then they fill in some details for people who might not be up on the case or need a refreshment. They remind us that his house, Marilyn Manson's house, was raided by law enforcement and he had devices seized and things like that. And of course, they found nothing as far as evidence towards the claims against him. And they mention his lawsuit against Evan Rachel Wood for emotional distress, defamation, violation of the Comprehensive Computer Data and Access Fraud Act, and impersonation over the internet of an FBI officer. They left that out. She impersonated in a letter an FBI officer. And by the way, that's in his lawsuit in court documents against her. Wait, I was wrong. They do mention it. I should have kept reading. Okay. The report essentially claimed that Wood and her partner Ashley Gore conspired to build a case against him by recruiting and persuading prospective accusers, illegally hacking into his email accounts to create fraudulent chains of communication and impersonating an FBI agent by forging a letter that warned the alleged victims and their families that they could be in danger as a result of the investigation. And then they actually feature his response. There will come a time when I can share more about the events of the past year. Until then, I'm going to let the facts speak for themselves, the singer wrote in a post on his Instagram and shared a link to the full lawsuit in his bio, which can be viewed here, which is the right thing to do. You put out one clear statement and show the legal documents. And after that, they give a full timeline of a lot of facts, when people accused Marilyn, they mentioned that Evan Rachel Wood testified in front of the Senate in California, that Marilyn Manson hung up the phone on Metal Hammer, which is a website that does rock music. Okay, not the most important detail there. And of course, they mention Harvey and Rose, and I'm sure you guys know who they are. And then they mention Esme Bianco, who played someone in Game of Thrones who did some certain things for money. So I guess if you could judge Marilyn Manson by things he did on stage and in songs, well, can't you judge some actress for things she did? That would be fair, but no one does that. Just saying. Anyway, getting back to the main point here, because obviously I went a few different directions. Prosecutors say more evidence needed before they can bring up charges, and that to me makes sense. Let me know what you think down below. Doing shout outs, special thanks, things like that. If you don't subscribe here, consider it. Before I go, shout out to Laura B. She sent me this. Thank you, Laura. There she is on Twitter. And if you don't subscribe here, I'll be sad about it, but I'll get over it. Rant done for now. See you next time.